What's going on? Give it a couple minutes. See if I can share. We live, baby. Know a lot of people gonna be able to go back and watch this, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. Um, Ain't nobody on here though. What's going on? Gonna get started here soon. Talk a little bit about the Fire Fit team. Gonna talk about got some coaches that's gonna join us. So got a couple different things going on. Hope everybody's doing good on this Wednesday night. Feels weird just going back to school today for CMS schools. So I don't think a lot of CMS schools played today. I know there were some. I know Garinger played. I know a lot of the Cabarrus County schools played. I don't know who else CMS played. Uh, y'all let me know if any other CMS schools played so far, because honestly, I do not know of any that played. We're gonna get through the Fire Fit team, talk about it a little bit. Of course, there's some teams that feel like they should be on there. Of course, it's gonna always be like that. I'm gonna let y'all know 15 teams is not a lot. It's very hard. Every week it's very hard. I think we do a lot of teams and not just the Charlotte area, but reaching out to the mountain area. So it's a little bit, it's tough. I'm not gonna act like it's not. And then of course, it's not just one person's opinion. We have three people to make it fair. And I love that because, you know, everybody thinks I'm biased anyway. But I'm really not. I try to be as least biased as I can when it comes to the Albemarle's going to join us to talk a little bit. Comment, share the live. So let's go ahead and talk about the Fire Fit team. Fresh. Let me turn my stuff off. Talk about the Fire Fit team, how it's going. As far as like so far, uh, last time not introduced it. We had one last week. The last one we had Myers Park at the top. Sorry, y'all. My computer's acting crazy now. Let me get to that. Bear with me, bear with me. First time on live. Like I said, we got Coach Davis from Albemarle joining us. Coach Anthony George from 101 Prep is also going to join us. So I'm going to try to get this about 45 to an hour, just talking basketball. If anybody else wants to join, feel free. I will send you the link. Just comment in the chat, and I'll send that link. I want to talk basketball at the end of the day. We're going to go through the Fire Fit team real quick, and then talk a little bit about teams that are peaking at the right time. And that's just my opinion. I like a lot of good basketball right now. But I think it's some teams that are really showing that they are kind of above and beyond. So Fire 15, Myers Park, number one. A lot of people be like, Myers Park hasn't really played anybody. Myers Park played who's on the schedule. Um, they went down to Fayetteville, competed. They played some undefeated teams, blew them out, and they've been doing a really good job. And they have a great makeup of their team. I don't think a lot of people understand that it's not. I mean, it is who you play, but you win and lose games regardless of who you play. I know some teams that have played some competition that they may not have felt like was as good as theirs, but they still might have took a loss to them, and that's okay because it's only halfway through the season. We got a long season left to play. But Myers Park's a really good team. They have the guards, really scrappy guards. A lot of them aren't basketball first guards, but they're still good. Reese Wilson is starting to come back into her own. Jaren Truesdale's been phenomenal this year. Amani Barner has been really good. I think a lot of people don't realize she's just a freshman. I think she's going to be one of those kids that are just going to be really good for 4 years, and that's good for Myers Park. I love that for them. They got the big. I always forget her name, but she's been solid for them, and Coach Barber's done a great job. She's putting them in position to win, and even with their conference, you look at it. RGKL, South Meck, one of those two teams is going to be the ones that has to beat them. I don't know if South Meck can do it this year. I think Coach Clark does a great job, but I just don't think the where they need to be can compete with Myers Park. But still, who knows? RGKL does have the talent to compete with Myers Park, but the size matchup is going to be a little iffy. I think Autumn does a great job. Molly does a good job. Uh, I want to say Fleck is her last name. She does a really good job shooting the ball and scoring. But they overall, I think that Myers Park has the better team. Number two and three was kind of a one of those AB to me. Catholic, I got them at number two. Their only loss comes to North Pitt, which I knew would be a hard game for them because of the guards. Z went ridiculous. 40, I think they got her for 39 points. They had 41 at a point in time, but ended up being 39. It's hard to guard that. Those two guards are tough to guard, especially with Catholic size advantage. But they North Pitt has some girls that are scrappy, so that makes sense that they lost to that team. But Catholic's been really good this year. I think they're going to play some more tough competition. They play S3 Academy, which will be a really tough matchup for them. I don't think they'll win that one. And that's no shot against Charlotte Catholic. S3 is just a really solid team on a national level, not just um, like a regional team. They're really good nationally. Lake Norman. Lake Norman's still Lake Norman at the end of the day. The game that they lost in Cherokee, I actually got a chance to watch. Uh, they should have won the game. Now, I don't know what happened the next two rounds, but they should have won that game. I really feel like they should have. They just couldn't make a shot. They were sick, got kids sick. And it's hard when you're coming into a game and you know you're sick, but they still got down and fought. And it was a close game, really. Just a couple missed shots away from winning and moving on to the next round in Cherokee. But Lake Norman's still good. I don't see them losing any games up till playoffs. I won't give them my playoff predictions till it's time for that. But right now, I think Lake Norman is going to kind of cruise through conference, but Hickory Ridge is going to give them a battle. I think when they play at Hickory Ridge, it's going to be a tougher game than when they go to Lake Norman. But I think Hickory Ridge will give them a battle. Sheree Giddings has been amazing. Congrats to her committing to Catawba. Number four, West Rowan. A lot of people see West Rowan as a why are they number four? I mean, they're still a top heavy team. They only lost is to Lake Norman. One loss. All the rest of their games, they're blowing teams out. Beat Salisbury pretty good. So you're not gonna just talk about the bad. You gotta talk about the good as well. West Ryan is a solid team. Alexander Central, undefeated, 14-0. They're a mountain team, so a lot of people don't know much about them, but they're a really solid team. They're number 5. East Burke is at 6. East Burke has a lot of kids on that team that can score. Cara Brinkley is a kid that you need to know about. Plays for Lady Attack. She's a really solid guard, I think. She's kind of like a guard wing combo, but either way, she's a bucket. A lot of people need to know about her now. I think she's going to get a lot of college attention soon. But that team is kind of loaded. I think they'll have some more kids coming in next year, if I'm not mistaken, that are going to be really good for them. Number 7, Mallet Creek. Mallet Creek is a team that I'm high on. I think they're going to get better as the year goes on. Another team that I don't see losing until around playoff time, if they do lose. I think North Meck's good, but I don't know if they can beat Mallet Creek right now. And that's my biggest opinion for that one. 8's Cannon, 6 losses, moves them down to 8. I know some people might see them lower. Some people may see them higher. I think the Sharp Observer had them at 3, but we had them at 8. I think um, Major Moves had them at 10 or 11, something like that. But their 6 losses are 6 losses that a lot of teams will lose those games. But at the end of the day, they're losses. So can't say much about it. Independence at 9, 4 losses. I think they've lost, if I'm not mistaken, 4 in a row. No, 3 in a row. They beat South Shore in a close game, but they lost to Catholic before that. So Independence is looking to find their stride. I think they play Friday, and they should win that game, getting back to those norms. But they're still a really good team. I think they're still figuring it out with Kaylee Carson back, just trying to mesh with everybody. It's a big difference. But I think they're showing that they're still one of those teams that can compete at a high level. Hickory Ridge. Hickory Ridge lost to North Meck recently. I don't know who their other losses to. I can't think of it. But they're still a really good team. As I said, Sheree Gidney, congrats on that commitment to Catawba. I think she's going to elevate her game now that weight's off her shoulder. Um, and then her sister's been really good. She's the leading scorer on that team. And then, of course, Amaya Leathers is still really solid. Like I said, they're the competition for Lake Norman. I think them and West Cabarrus could compete with Lake Norman. West Cabarrus likes to muddy the game up, so that helps them. But overall, I think Hickory Ridge has the best chance to beat Lake Norman. Watauga's at 11. They come off a good showing at the John Wall Invitational. Shout out to Coach Tay. Uh, Great event from what I've heard. Got a chance to watch a couple games. Not all of them, of course, but I did get a chance to watch the Morris Catholic and North Pitt game. Really good game. Watauga's going to go as Kate Sears goes. I think she's been really solid for them so far. I think that AC Reynolds is next on that list, so that mountain area is on here strong this time. They're a really good team. Only loss coming to Lake Norman. I think they have to prove themselves. They'll play Myers Park later in the season. That's going to be a really good game as well. 13 is Marvin Ridge. Marvin Ridge came off a loss. I think they lost to, it was a South Carolina team. I can't remember, but they lost to them recently. That was a tough loss. Ardrey Kells at 14. They actually lost to Marvin Ridge by 2. In a game where a lot of people say the foul calls wasn't even, but at the end of the day, what I'll always tell people, if you're making your shots, foul calls don't matter. You got to make shots because there's always 1 or 2 shots, layups missed, things like that that will impact the game that the refs can't take away. Number 15, Concord Academy. I'm a believer that Concord Academy has showed that they belong here. Tough loss to Freedom, but other than that, they've lost to Legacy, not Legacy. I want to say it was either Legacy or Quality Education, but either way, they've lost 2 games so far. Justin Alexander has been phenomenal. Aaliyah Mack, Sam Myers has been really good as well. They're a team that they play Northside Christian coming up real soon. We'll put out our games of the week tomorrow. I think we're split on that. 2-2. Two got Concord Academy, two got Northside. I think that's gonna be a good game because Northside is definitely getting better as they go on. Um, they have a phenomenal big in Jacayla Gaskins, but overall, we'll see how that goes. I'm about to see if Coach is ready. Let me add him real quick. See if I can get Coach Eric Davis on here from Albemarle. Just talk a little bit about basketball and things like that. Not trying to do too much, just a little conversation. But like I said, those are our Fire Fit team. We're not really. It's nobody that's just standing there that's like, oh, they got to be on there. I think, especially that 11 through 15, North Mech is a team that could be on there one-on-one prep. Excuse me. Even Providence Day. Providence Day had a big win against one-on-one prep recently. What's up, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good, good. How was practice today?
It was good. It was
Good, good,
really
good.
good. A lot of good energy.
That's good. When is your next game?
Friday.
Friday. Okay. Is it at Albemarle?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Got any big games coming up?
Uh, we got Tuesday at Union Academy.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. And we got 2 weeks after that is when we got North Stanley at Pfeiffer,
Okay,
and then that Thursday is when we host Bishop, which would be a
okay.
good bet, real big.
Awesome. So that's a good little stretch of games that you got there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I like that. That's a gotta play that competition. I think Union Academy is really a solid team. I think they could be better, but they got those two girls that are really strong. The post player is really good.
Yeah.
Uh Jaden and
Subtle,
Rannon.
Subtle and Thompson are two pretty good players.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Jaden and
Still
Rannon
young.
are
I,
really
I
good.
think they're sophomores. So
Yep. I want to say Jaden's a sophomore. I think Rannon's
yeah, I
uh
think she's a junior.
she's a junior.
I think so.
I was about to say that. I think she's a junior because she plays with the Lady Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
But yeah, coach, how you feel about the season so far?
I feel good, man. We had the game at North Ram when we were had a couple coming off the flu, one out
Mhm.
with flu. But sometimes those early challenges, man, they work out real well for you.
Right.
And I think since then, it really allowed our girls to focus in a little bit more.
Mhm.
And we've had a string of practices since then that have been really good.
Right.
And what I really like is our resilience right now.
Right.
Sun Valley is a pretty good team.
Mhm.
Early on in the season, they didn't have all their players, and since they gave a good challenge to Hickory Ridge, and I think Audrey Kell was the other one.
Yeah. They actually just
They
beat
got a solid
Northwest
group, man.
Cabarrus.
It
They
was
beat
it was a battle.
mm, I think in the same tournament you guys played in, they beat Northwest Cabarrus.
Yeah, yeah.
The
They beat Northwest
semifinals.
Cabarrus by 7, and
Yeah.
then we played them, and it was we went on a big run to close the third quarter.
Yeah.
But it was, they were battling, man.
Okay. I think Sun Valley has a lot of talent. I like Tyra Robinson from that team. She's a
Yeah.
proven leader for them. I
Is
think
that
she has a
what number was she? You had you
numbers.
had 22.
She was 22.
All
22.
right,
Yep.
she's a real good player. And then
Mhm.
number 1 and number 3, the shooter.
Yep. So
But they
when
got it.
we
They got
played
a
them.
real. I was impressed with them.
Yeah, I think number 3 got hurt when we played against them, but she was doing really good before then. But they are going to be solid. I think you guys doing a really good job. I love the way you guys schedule. I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of you got to play competition so
Yeah,
that way when you get later on in the season, you're ready for it. Like
yeah,
everybody's trying to promote, especially when your conference may not be as strong. You want to get those games where you're getting like tough competition. So that way, when it's time for playoffs, you're ready for it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man. A lot of people right now, I feel like are overlooking the 1A West.
Okay.
North Ryan's a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They
Okay.
lost by 20 the next night after us, but we're
Mm-hmm.
not the easiest team to play.
No.
Um, and West Ryan's not the easiest team to play.
No. Western Run is
So
definitely
you're
not
going
an easy
back to
team to
back
play.
with two teams that get after you.
Right.
Uh,
I agree.
and so I mean that North Ryan slipped up a little bit with the Goodless not being there, but I'm gonna tell you they can play a little bit.
Okay.
And you got some teams in the 1A West. I mean, like Bishop
Mhm.
playing Independence.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Winning.
know Independence walked in that game without and when Bishop didn't have Addie and Cena, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, hey man, this is gonna be a blowout. And then they found out them girls uh, are pretty fundamentally sound. Brian, Coach Robinson does a really good job with them.
Right. And I always so we were having a conversation about Bishop McGinnis, and I was like, a
Hmm.
lot of them play with the Winston Salem Steelers, and I think they just know the system very well, and they know what the coaches' expectations are. So they do a really good job, even without LA. Like they're still really good, like because they know the expectation of your coach.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're a lot like us in some sense. Like
Mhm.
we two totally different styles,
Yep.
but they're a very defensive minded group,
Hmm.
and they have the ability, number one, out of man to sit on you,
Okay.
and force your second and third options to do something. And then offensively, they're really disciplined. Like you're not going to rattle them too much. They're a
Mhm.
proven group that have been like us. I mean, going out playing all this comp. Look at the comp they played. You're
Yeah,
just
they've
not going to get.
they've definitely played some competition. I think they still got a lot of good games left on their schedule.
Yeah, and then you look, you got Mountain Heritage, which returned everybody from last year,
Hmm.
with the exception, I think, one. And then you got Cherokee,
Hmm.
who dang near upset Bishop last year.
Yep, they did. That was a
And
close game.
they added a 6'1" freshman who can play.
Oof. I know they got the kid that transferred from there that went to Mallet Creek. Is at Mallet Creek now.
Hmm.
I always forget her name.
Yeah,
But
you
I
could
think Cherokee will be good.
you could put the top five, top six, 1A West girls. You could put them in a lot of conferences. They're going to cause problems.
Okay, I would love to see like the 4A, the 3A, 2A,
Yeah,
all of them just like come
oh,
together and
it
play
would
one
be.
big tournament.
I, I was talking to Coach Baker over the summer, and I
Mhm.
just enjoyed that North Mac Invitational. Coach Baker does
Yes,
one heck of a job with it.
great job. I love the North Mac Invitational as well.
Yep. And I tell you what, I was talking to her, and we were kind of talking about our conference and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
how it's a knockdown, drag out fight almost every
Right.
night. And you know, I would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, coming out and where you really got to push your group every
Hmm.
single night. And I know us, um, with the schedule we played. I mean, you look, throughout the summer. I mean, we played Cape Fear, we played Northwest Cabarrus, we played North Mech twice, Lake Norman
Right.
twice, South
Right.
Lauderdale. I mean, we were really in it, and I tell you what, man, it made us a better group. It made us figure it out. And honestly, without those teams, we're probably not doing what we're doing right now, because it really forced us to look at things,
Hmm.
and it forced our girls to sit back and understand, like, look, there's a process to this. You can't just look at results. It's about your daily grind. And I'm tickled to death with the group and what we're doing, because they're looking forward to these challenges. And
Yep.
I remember the last time we played North Mech, we didn't have Bianca or Jasmine.
Hmm.
And it was a that was a big moment for us,
Right.
uh, simply because it forced our girls, the different girls, to step up, and they did a fabulous job. But it gave them the confidence, like, look, we can all play. And that's really what you seen Friday night. I mean,
Hmm.
we've had multiple different lineups be effective.
That's
And
good.
so looking at the state, man, I mean, I love where girls basketball is right
Oh
now.
yes. It's talent all over. I think it's no level where you're just like, oh well, this group isn't that good. There's no talent on this level because it's talent everywhere. Honestly,
Yeah,
I know Charlotte has a lot of the 4A teams, 3A, but then when you get to the suburbs, like the areas around it, it's so much talent. I think it's going to be exciting when it gets to playoffs. That's why I'm always glad that private school playoffs ends before
Mhm.
public schools, pretty
Yeah.
much, because then I get to go and watch some of these games. I love my NFA chess app. Always watching games on there. It's amazing. So, question: what do you teach your kids about rankings, or how do you perceive rankings?
um, I don't know. I like to look at them.
Hmm.
Uh, there's certain teams that kind of, you know, the girls kind of get upset about.
Hmm.
Um, but more and all, man, I tell you what, the big thing I look at is just kind of the shout outs to
Yep.
some of my girls because I mean, like Amari's a D1 player,
Oh yes, I
and
think so.
Jasmine and Bianca are D1 players,
Hmm.
and you know, uh, it kills me because a lot of I've talked to coaches like, well, you guys don't really play anybody. I'm like, you should have seen like, they're doing the same thing. It doesn't matter against who.
Yep.
They're competitive, man, and so it's stuff like that. That 1A seems to get discounted.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of the teams, there's a lot of times that you look at teams that are getting hyped up, like, man, you put them in the 1A West, they're probably not doing what they're doing.
I agree.
Um, because not only do you have competition in 1A, but you got to travel 4 or 5 hours too.
Yeah, that's the
Uh,
rough. That's the rough part about it.
I mean, you look, there's a chance, if seedings fall out and things play out, we could have to travel 4 hours to Cherokee, 4 or 5 hours to Cherokee, and then play that day.
That's
And
rough.
we just, I mean, it's different, man. And
Yeah.
um, I like Bishop, Addie's an incredible player.
Hmm.
She, she earned everything she's getting.
Yep.
They have a
I
couple
agree.
others going to be playing college ball.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
uh, you look at Cherokee, they have a couple that's going to be playing college ball.
Okay.
Bailey, for North Iran. I mean,
Hmm.
she's been offered D2. She's a good
Yep.
player.
She is a really good player. I
Yeah,
hope she. Oh, I don't know the situation or anything that's going on, but I really would love for them to come back soon and be ready to play because
yeah.
those two girls make that team go. Honestly, I think especially Bailey. Bailey's a prolific scorer and does so much for that team. Anytime I think of North Carolina, that's what I think of.
Well,
Think of
a lot
Bailey.
of people don't know Brittany.
Yeah,
But
Brittany's really
Brittany was
good
out
too.
last year.
Hmm.
You know,
She's
Brit
been good this year.
Brittany can shoot it.
Hmm.
you know, I mean, so you got to deal with Bailey coming downhill at you,
Yep.
and you got to deal with with Brittany, and Brittany's
Hmm.
not easy either. You know, um,
Good.
but going back to your question about rankings,
Hmm.
I take them with a grain of salt a lot of times. There's sometimes I'm like, man, come on, you got to give us a little bit more respect in that. Like
Right.
you know, everybody on that, a lot of rankings, we've been there. We've
Hmm.
we know. I mean, and a lot of people didn't see those games.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, look, all I want is respect for our program because we've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
I have 5 20-win seasons.
Mm.
We've been doing this a while, and we've been at top of the state for a while,
Okay.
and so at the end of the day, I think that the respect for 1A in general needs to be a little bit higher because I mean, just like Bishop,
Hmm.
I mean, look at Cherokee, they're knocking off 4A teams too.
Yep.
You know, uh, Mountain Heritage, it took overtime for Watauga to knock them off.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched a little bit of that game. I didn't get a chance to see the whole game, but I watched a little bit of it. But I said I think that was one of our games of the week, if I'm not mistaken. And I said Mountain Heritage is a team that will push them because I mean, a lot of people look at undefeated and they think, oh, they're not playing anybody.
Mhm.
No, these teams are good. Like you got to
Yeah,
realize, teams just winning takes a lot, regardless of who you play. It still takes a lot.
yeah, and you got a
So
lot of teams undefeated right now haven't played in a
mhm,
while.
that's true.
You
But
know, and
They
and
they gotta
that's the great
win
thing
at the
about
end of the day.
conference, isn't it? It's going
Yeah,
to out.
they
So
still gotta win at the end of the day. I say it's a lot easier to lose than it is to win.
yeah.
So I think that's gonna be tough. All right, so give me one team other than your own that you think can cut down the nets at the end of the season.
Um, You want me to go from 4A down?
That works.
All right. Um, Obviously the obvious pick's Lake Norman. You
Hmm.
know, everybody picked them. They're I love their team, man. We played them a couple times. We seen two different types of them. You
Okay.
know, the first time, I mean, it was a battle between us, and the second time they got hot, and you felt
Yep.
like you were on the floor with the Golden State Warriors.
They can do
You know,
that to you.
I'm going to tell you my sleeper pick, and I've said this a lot is North Mech.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Lanice as she grows, she's going to be a problem.
She
And
killed it down
got
in
good guard
Fayetteville.
play. They got depth.
Hmm.
I love Coach Baker and what she does. So that would, Mallard Creek's another one. I got a chance to watch them against Sun Valley, and Mallard Creek's going to be a problem.
Yes.
But my sleeper pick right now, because everybody's kind of discounted them, is North Met. I think
Okay.
their strength inside, and they got pretty good guard play. I think that'd be a good one.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think that makes a really good team. I think a lot of people, like even myself, I think the guard play is going to have to improve to
mhm.
be at the level that they want to be in. Lanice has done an awesome job.
She's going to be a monster,
I
man.
think she had 78 points in 3 games, if I'm not mistaken, this past weekend.
Yep.
So they're there. They're
And
there.
she's
I
a
think they're gonna be, and she's a freshman. She's
freshman.
a big time freshman. I think she's gonna be really good. But North Meck has a chance to. I think they're gonna have to slow down Mallet Creek. I think the next time they play,
Yeah.
it'll be at North Meck, so that'll be a really good game. I know it won't be any seats available
Yeah.
to get inside there. 83. That's what
All right.
you're right. 83.
Hey,
My
I'm
bad.
saying, man, I'm on the. Hey,
I was
I
close.
like her a lot. And
Yep.
and then probably the other one, man. And this is simply I've been around her for a while,
Hmm.
and I have the utmost respect for his coach Nelson squad with Myers Park.
Oh yes,
They're
for
gonna be
sure.
a pro. I mean, it don't matter, man.
I
Uh,
just I was just talking about them earlier, and I was
yeah,
just saying a lot of people are counting them out
yeah,
because they feel like the strength of schedule is not as good. But I was like, they have one of the most balanced teams
yes,
out of anybody in the state. I think between my thing is between them and Mallet Creek. I think with
yeah,
4A, they have two of the most balanced teams in the state. And I want to see how they do Friday. I think they play against RG Kell. I want to see that game.
yeah,
It's going to be a really good one. I'll be at West Cabarrus just because it's a little closer to the house, but
yeah,
um, still going to be a good game.
yeah. Um, three. Well, on the east side, we had a chance to play against Cape Fear.
Okay.
Uh, I like their squad. They got good size. That point guard is tough. That
She
battle
is.
between her and Amari was serious.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it. uh, so Cape Fear could probably make some noise.
Yeah,
3A side. I mean, obviously West Ryan, man. I mean, they're like a court full of pit bulls, right? I mean, they just keep coming at you.
that's true.
And then the other team, I tell you, that I really want to see. I want to see the battle is between West Ryan and East Lincoln.
Okay.
Both those teams are extremely physical. They get after you with a good amount of talent.
Yeah.
I would like to see that battle.
I know the big is hurt at East Lincoln. The one that's a volleyball player, I feel like she hurt her knee or something, and that's what worries me about East Lincoln. I know they have the guards. They're going to be really good. Kiki's really good. Emma's really good. Nevaeh, that was at Lake Norman, the transfer there is still really good, but
Yeah,
they worry with the size. I think the size, because what and I don't want to say her name wrong, but the big, she was a volleyball player. She's really athletic.
I know who you're talking about.
Yep,
Yep,
she's not playing. I don't know if she's out for the season,
that's a
but I
big
know
loss.
that's a huge loss for them.
Yeah,
Because you don't have the girl from Self, Madison Self's not there anymore. She graduated. So I worry about them with that aspect. And
yeah,
I know West Rowan. I know West Rowan very well. I've watched them play in our fall league, and I know how much they want to win. Like those girls want to win. And a lot of people see them as cocky. I tell people they're not cocky, they're confident in how they
yeah.
play. They're
When we
very
they
confident.
didn't, I mean, now, granted, you have to when we played them, we had Bianca was on minutes restriction.
Mm-hmm.
Daz is still recovering from sprain her ankle at
Yep.
UNCC. Um, but I mean, they did not come across to me as cocky one bit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they were very confident in what they did.
Yep.
They knew what they had to do. Um, and I mean, it was just a group to me that were very confident and worked extremely hard.
I agree.
And if they weren't that type of team, they wouldn't have beat us. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like they handled the details.
Yep. I
And
agree.
I think that's I mean with how hard they play because they're all gas. I mean that's what I love playing teams like that. So that's what they struck me as. It wasn't anything like I thought they were cocky at all.
Right.
Just works. They played extremely hard.
Mm-hmm. I think Coach Poole does a great job too.
Yep,
Coach
absolutely.
Poole does a great job.
Absolutely, man. And
Well,
and if a team was that cocky, I don't think they would have the success they had.
mm-hmm.
Never going to be able to bring them back in when you get in battles.
I agree. And she does a great job of making sure her team is prepared and they're not overly confident. They're actually knowing what the other team has. Like
Yeah,
even in the Lake Norman game, they were in that game. Like
yeah,
they were leading at a point in time. And that's
yeah,
not an easy feat. Like
no,
Lake Norman is a talented team.
yeah.
So for them to be in that game, I hats off to them. What about 3A East if you've seen any teams?
The one team, and I believe they're 3A. If they're not, correct me. The one team that's always jumped off my mind over there that we played that I have a huge amount of respect for is Smith.
They're west. They're actually on the west
Smith
side.
Fayetteville?
E.
Ben
Oh, you said
Smith,
E. Smith.
E. Smith.
Okay, E. Smith is on the east side. Yep, they're
Yeah,
on the east.
they're 3A, aren't they?
Yep, they are.
We I'll tell you what, they remind me a lot of West Rain.
Okay.
With how they play, how they go about it. Now I don't know who they lost from last year to this year. It's been a year since I've seen them.
Yep,
But they're a program that usually traditionally is pretty tough.
I agree.
Um, and I mean, I remember watching them a couple times last year, and I mean, there's teams that we play against like over summer and
Mhm.
stuff that I kind of become a fan of.
Yep.
And I make sure I try to watch them, and that was one program over there. Outside, of that, I'm not really too familiar with the 3A.
Terry, if I'm not mistaken, Terry Sanford is 3A,
Yeah,
and they're going to be really good. They're
yeah,
young, but they're really good.
yeah. Um, yeah, that I mean, there's just Terry Sanford. We played. Shoot, my bad.
It's all right.
I'm sitting here trying to remember who I've seen over there and or what division they are.
Mm-hmm.
But usually the Fayetteville team's got to fight, kind of like the 4A does
Mm-hmm.
out of the Charlotte area. So a
Yep.
lot of you get to get some pretty good teams out there. So 2A side, uh, I think right now I haven't gotten to watch them yet, but it seems like East Burke's jumping.
East Burke's been really good this year.
Um, and you know, I tell you what, man, I'm a fan of Coach Bryce. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've watched them a little bit, and it seems like that they're just figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Salisbury's somebody that I think by the time the playoffs hit, they may figure it out because the talent's there.
Mm-hmm.
They got some talent. They got the good guard play. Uh, you know, I don't know. I think I'm one. I can't discount the reigning champs.
Right. I
I
agree.
like that from Bishop when they kind of dipped down for a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
They were always my number one because I'm like nobody's beat them yet.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think they won 9 in a row, and they came in and kind of dipped a little bit that 10th year. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, nobody's beat them until somebody beats them. When it counts,
I agree.
I kind of feel the same way. Anytime you get a back-to-back champion, I feel like that's the way it needs to be, just out of respect.
Yep. Uh, 2A East, North Pitt's probably.
North Pitt strong, and
Yeah.
guard over there is it Zamira Jones?
Zamaria, yep.
Yeah, yeah, she's tough.
Yeah, she's probably out of this world tough. And then Jordan Speller, who's also on that team,
Yeah.
freshman, is just as good. So
That,
I
that's
mean,
a that's a big two-headed monster to conquer.
yeah, that is tough. But Seaforth is going to be good as well. I think
Yeah,
Gabby White's really strong over there. She's going to be a solid player for them in the 2A East. Now, 1A, who you got?
1A. Well, I mean, obviously, I go with us,
Got
but
to.
uh, I mean, it is. I hate to sound like just a record man, but
Nope.
the 1A West is a gauntlet. Whoever,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we played Chatham Charter earlier, who was they lost in the state.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I fully expect them to get back uh, in that conversation again, representing the 1A East.
Okay.
Um, I do. They got a well-rounded group. They're well coached. That's kind of who I see right now coming out of that side.
Yeah, East. Okay.
Um, on the west side, I mean, honestly, North Rand, um, when we played them, they hit 12 threes.
Mm.
I think leading up to that, I think they were averaging 10 threes a game.
Oof.
You shoot the ball like that, you
Right.
got
You're gonna
right.
be in
So
the
that takes
game
a lot.
regardless. Yep.
So, and then you got Cherokee, who's well coached. They play extremely hard, and you give them some size. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to be a factor. Then you got Mountain Heritage, who returned everybody. You got us, and you got Bishop. Um,
It's gonna
you
be
know,
a rough one. It's gonna be tough getting out of there. Like that's
oh
gonna
man,
be
it's going to be a
really
gauntlet.
good for everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the 1A West. I think the winner comes out of the 1A West.
Yeah, I can
Honestly,
see that.
I just think there's too much. Just as long as we don't all kill each other before we get there,
Right.
I
Agree.
mean, you got great coaches, you got great players, uh, and right now there's so many talented players. Not
Mm-hmm.
only 1A to 4A, but talking about the 1A West, there's just a lot of talent, and I mean, it's like us last year, right? I said this last year about the 1A West.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Everybody was talking about Robbinsville coming to us. I mean, they had a 5'2" guard that you would look at. I mean, but she had, I think she had D1 mid-major offers,
Right.
ended up going D2, and she got cooking, and we couldn't do nothing with her. You know, and then you got you d- you got Addie, you got the girl who just
Mm-hmm.
went against Independence.
Yep.
Mount Heritage got I think she's 6'4".
Oof.
I mean, you look at us, you got Bianca, Jasmine, Kai, all at 6 foot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got size, you got guard play. I just think it's going to be a battle. I do. It's hard to sit. I
I
mean,
love
it
that.
really comes down to who plays better that day.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I love
us
that.
and when us and Bishop play on the 25th. I like the game now. It's not the first game of the year.
Yep.
That was tough. Bishop's a well-oiled machine, and they return so much. It was just, I
Yep.
mean, a hard time.
Yeah, that's a tough way to start the season.
Oh man, uh, and Brian's such a good coach. But I am, man. I'm just really excited for it. Playoffs going to be a blast. I
Yes,
love
sir.
games like that. I love it. So,
Mm.
but going back to the talent side of it. I mean, just going down 1A to 4A, the girls' side right now is so loaded.
Yep. It is very much so.
You're gonna have. I mean, colleges need to get on these girls.
I agree.
You
Agree.
know, just like Lenice is a freshman. I mean, that girl's gonna be a Power 5 kid.
And she should be.
Uh
I
huh.
think
You got
I think she's gonna be really good.
yeah, you got the little point guard from South Mech. I think she's a freshman.
Uh, no, she's a well. They have the
Sophomore.
point guard. They got two. One's a junior, one's a freshman. The light skinned one, Michaela, is a
Yep.
junior. KB is a freshman.
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
KB's gonna be good too.
yeah. I mean, Porter Ridge has got a couple of guards there that's
They
dangerous.
have they have a freshman that's out of this world talented. I don't know who's the best freshman in the state, but she would be up there.
This,
There's a that 27
uh,
class is loaded though. The
yeah.
27 class is
Well,
loaded.
I was getting ready to say the 24 class has a bunch of talent in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like people don't realize Kai's a really good player. She's
Mm-hmm.
a senior for me. She's a really good player, and
Yep.
she's one hard to come by because she's 6 foot in a Swiss Army knife.
Yep.
You can play her
That's
on
very hard to come
position and
by.
guard anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then but you look at that 25 class, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sit there and you're like, well, that's probably a top class, and then you see 26 is starting to come in, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right. And
If
then you
I'm
see
gonna rank the classes, I'm gonna go 24, 27, 25, 26.
Really? I
That's
tell you,
how
man, I think the guard play out of the 25 class is ridiculous.
it is. But the 27 class has
Yeah.
some loaded guards.
Yeah.
Like they're really talented. I think they have guards and they have size. I mean,
Yeah.
um, it's really ridiculous. Like I said, the like I think I said this before on another on Twitter or something. I think the 24 class was so top heavy that they're gonna have maybe three McDonald's All Americans from
Yeah.
North Carolina. Uh, they should have three McDonald's All American between Blanca, Sarah, and Z. Those
Yeah.
three should be McDonald's All Americans. I don't think that's even close.
And speaking
Um,
of 4A, that's another one right there that's playing good basketball right now too.
which team is that?
Catholic.
Yes, Catholic is playing good. I think they struggle with North Pitt because of the guard play, but
Yeah.
I think other than that, they don't run into guard play like that and anybody else realistically.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. All right, I got one last question. One player that you enjoy watching that you do not coach.
1A to 4A.
Anybody, just one player.
Mm, let me think. I'd probably have to say the young lady from Grace.
Okay,
Uh,
Sarah Strong.
yeah, and
Yeah.
uh, and I really like Lanice, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love her attitude. I like how she approaches everything. And
Loves
it's
it.
hard not to get behind kids like that.
Love it for
Yeah,
sure. She's a very humble kid. She never, even when she's playing, she's never really doing a bunch of negative talking,
yeah,
not talking to the refs and things like that. She does a good job. I really respect that as well. Think and for her to be mentioned with Sarah
yeah.
is good on its own because Sarah's a
And probably the other one's probably Addie at Bishop. Bishop's
okay.
got she's got she's got a smooth game to her, man.
Yep, she does.
So
Uh, I appreciate you, Coach. I'm about to get Coach Anthony George on here.
yes, sir. I
Thank
appreciate
you for coming on.
it. Absolutely
All
anytime.
right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's good. Waiting on Coach Anthony George. Thank you, Coach Davis from Albemarle. His team is really good. They were once in our 515, and that's a great example of just how many good teams there are. Norfolk Rand is really solid. Albemarle. Those are teams that are in our coverage area. I mean, we could just shorten it up, and break it down into two lists, but what fun would that be? I'm gonna send Coach a message, try to get him up here, and we'll probably end it with him. Let's see if we can get him to talk about how the one-on-one parents always want to jump on me. But realistically, teams that are peaking right now, I was talking about that before Coach joined. Uh, I really like what Mallet Creek has been doing. Mallet Creek is a team that I think, like we were just talking about, I think they don't have a weak spot. I think they could do better with knocking down shots, but they still have players that can make shots, and I think that's important. Um, then you got North Meck is peaking at the right time. Uh, for sure. No problem. Thank you for watching. North Mech is peaking at the right time. When they went down to Fayetteville, I thought that was going to be really good for them, and it was. When you have the talented freshman, Boston Bates is doing a really good job. Morgan Knox is another player, and they have post players galore. I don't know. We need some post players. Y'all know who we is, but but North Mech has it like loaded. Like they have like original posts with Lanice and the Hoover kid. They play like an actual back to the basket. Then they have the athletic kid. I think her name is Bree or something like that. She's super athletic. Then they have guards. I mean, Chelsea's came back. She's still filling herself out, but once she figures it out, she's gonna be really solid. And then of course Morgan has been doing a really good job. Morgan's like one of those hoopers. From what I see, I don't know Morgan per se, but every time I watch her, she just looks like a hooper. Like she just goes out there and hoops. Boston's just like that New York kid that got that dog in it. And like that's not just school ball. She done it in AAU. She almost upset us just by the way she was playing. Our girls wasn't quite ready for it. I mean, we ended up winning that game, but she really showed up and showed out in that game, and she made a big difference. I think Boston would be the reason that if they could get to that level, like if they play a team like Lake Norman, I think they would give Lake Norman problems. Just like last year, when they went up to Lake Norman and played, then gave them some issues. I think they would give them issues this year because of the way that they play. Coach Ant, what's up, man?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to create a channel. I didn't know what was going on. How are you,
Come
bud?
on, Coach. You don't got a channel?
I apparently not.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just got off with Coach Davis. We had a good talk. We were talking a little bit about the 1A scene, and then he kind of broke down who he thought could win in for 4A through 1A. But we'll get to that later. How's it going? How's the season going so far?
Yeah, I so far so good. I think we've been able to play a lot of games
Hmm.
in a short amount of time, which has been good. With us being relatively new and having the roster being new,
Hmm.
getting them to play a lot early, I think is going to be very helpful for us as we get into conference play. Kind of figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and I'm excited to kind of our progress. As like I said, being such a young team, a young group, and a new group together, they're starting to figure things out, and I think overall has been a good experience for our kids and the staff and the program. So this year's been good so far.
For sure. Tell us a little bit about the conference. I know you guys are starting January 5th. That's this week, right? This
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so over the last, I want to say 8 to 10 months, we were kind of just in a, in a trying to figure out what the next steps were for
Mhm.
one of one and what this could look like, and we understand that one of the major draws on playing high school basketball is having a conference and playing for a conference championship, and there are many other academies across across the USA that kind of have the same dilemma. So Delaney at Winston Salem and myself and several other people from the East Coast kind of got together and said this would be a really good idea to have something to play for and then have a championship at the end of the season. So we created this NISAA league. It's the National Independent Schools Athletic Association. So it's made up of 10 teams right now. We got two from Florida, and then the rest are like down the East Coast. And we have our first stop actually, which will be at Carolina Courts in Charlotte this weekend. Um, and it's kind of going to give us a first idea of how everything's going to kind of look and the level of play of the league. But with the talent that's on these rosters, I think it's going to be really really good for our kids, but also competitively wise, I think it's going to be really fun for girls basketball, especially in this area this weekend. We're excited.
Great. I think I'm gonna try to get down there to see some of those games. We've already played one of a couple of teams in your league, and I'm gonna say this now: that league is going to be really tough. Some really good teams. I love that you guys did that because a lot of times those kids wouldn't have got to play the conference play
Sure.
championship type of thing. So that's really good.
Kev, it's funny you say that too. Like a lot of these teams in this league, we played 2 or 3 times last year.
Yep.
So it makes sense to have a league and have an ending and have some sort of thing to look forward to at the end of the season for all the kids.
Right. Might as well play for something. And there's
Yep.
no point you guys just playing, going, traveling back and forth.
Correct.
But it's good that you guys figured it out. And it's just good basketball. I think that's gonna be the biggest thing for you guys. And it's gonna draw, make people want to come to the games and even come to join the team because you have that aspect, that great tool to recruit. I love it. So what do you teach your kids about rankings? I know your parents. Uh,
Dude,
the-
rank
they,
one.
I, I'm-
We're, we're
I
not.
might get a message about some rankings, later today. But
I know.
how
I
do
know.
you guys teach about the rankings and how do you perceive them?
Yeah, I think honestly, rankings are a good tool if it's a good tool, and I mean, obviously, when you have guys like yourself that actually go out there and watch games,
Mm-hmm.
it's a helpful to kind of see what you think and other people think. At the end of the day, you still got to go out there. You got to tip up, and you got to go out there and play. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and especially when it comes to, like, it's such a broad. You do rankings throughout North Carolina. I mean, there's teams at every level that are very good. It's just
Yep.
they don't get to play each other, so you don't really get to see. Rankings are great. Parents, I think, you know, you know, rankings. I think parents look into a lot more than I'd say coaches do.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's fun. I think it's exciting. And I think it's something to look forward to. Like, when you're putting those out, our parents like, oh, we in it, are we in it, are we not in it?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you got the Observer and you got other
Yep.
people in rankings. In our league, we do a coaches poll.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's rankings all around, and I think it's just something to grow with. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have competitiveness, you're gonna have rankings throughout the rest of your life. So getting to look at it now and people have their opinions, I think it's awesome, and I think it's great that people are so active and they talk about it. I think it's really good for girls basketball.
And and I think I told this to a parent one time. A ranking doesn't always mean like this team is better than this team. It may just be how they're performing right then and there.
Of course.
Like, and realistically, a team that's not ranked could maybe be the top ranked team, and that's okay because it's just about right now. It's not about the overall program or who you will play and all those things. I
Sure.
remember last year we had a conversation about who you guys play, and I was like, your talent level, I gotta put it based on your talent level
Sure,
and
sure, sure.
who you're playing. And same thing with Cannon. I get cussed out by players and fussed at because I keep ranking my own team lower. And realistically, we played tough teams, but we lost.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, losing match.
I think, Kev, to your point, I think, like, you're, as a coach, as well as doing the ranking,
Mhm.
you're not going to be in a good position. Everyone's going to
Nope.
be like, Kevin, you don't know what you're talking about. All right, Kevin, we're better than we think we are. You just got to keep doing what you're doing. I think it's
Of
good that
course.
and I think it's like I said, it's exciting. I think it's good for the game. So
Mhm.
I would implore you to continue to do that, because it is something that I think people look forward to now. So that's a
Yep,
real
for sure.
for
For
sure.
sure. And that's why I wanted to do this as well, just to get some coaches on here talking about basketball, because seeing it from a different aspect kind of helps some people out because they just see me talking, Coach Diggs and Coach Gibson, which all three of us do the rankings together. It's not just me. We average it out. We send our 15 teams and we average it out, and whatever team is there, that's there. It is what it is. But next question. Give me a team. Let's give me one public school team and one private school team that you think can win states this year.
Um, I guess I'm a homer. I think private school wise, I don't think anybody's beating Cannon. I
Mhm.
just I don't I, this year, more than the last couple of years. I thought Cannon was very good last year. I just think this year, I think the cohesiveness, I think the strength of schedule is going to help you guys as you go along in the season. And I think you're deep. You have many ways to beat teams. And I think by the time end of February comes, early, I think you guys are going to be in stride and heading that way. I think, like I said, I think the competition you guys played early on in the season was huge, and I think that'll be super helpful. States on the public school side, it's wide open right now, man. Like I said, I've never like I this year I thought there'd be two or three teams. Now I'm thinking there might be 4 to 6 teams that could
Yeah,
could potentially win.
I
Um,
agree.
in the Charlotte area, I really like Catholic. I think they are an experienced bunch. I think they have a ton of tools. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, I they got the size. I think their guard play has been more confident and better this year. Um, and I really like the makeup of their team actually being around again, playing together for a couple of years. I
Yeah.
like um, if Independence stays healthy, I think they could shock people and win some big games down the stretch. The
Hmm.
guard play that you know is really really good. I think Lake Norman. Obviously, the girls on that team have a history of winning. They know what that looks like, what that feels like. They're
Agreed.
battle tested as well. It's similar to Ken, and they're playing really good competition. And I think that'll bode well for them as they get into the state playoff. Um, I would say if you ask me on this side of town, I think those three probably would be my pick. And I can't. I love Panther Creek.
Mm-hmm.
We had a really good battle with them at the Providence PD scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
When you have elite guard play like that,
Yep.
it speed kills. They always say that those two girls can play, and I
Mm-hmm.
think if they're playing against like that's, I don't think that'd be a good matchup for Catholic. Like I don't that would not be a good matchup for Catholic, but maybe that's a good matchup for Independence, or
Mm-hmm.
it just you never know who you play. But I like Panther Creek on out there, and I think they could possibly win it too. So I guess if you're picking my four, those would be four teams that I think that could probably win the whole thing.
I love, and that's not bad for at all. I do think Panther Creek will have a little more uh of a challenge this year. I think Cape Fear is going to be really good on the east side.
Yeah,
Coach Davis just mentioned them, and I also think Chapel Hill, because of their size,
yeah.
they're going to be solid. But I think because of those guards, like you said, it's hard to go against them. And that team, they have that experience of winning that state
It's
championship.
fun. Yeah, I think that gets underplayed. That's why I think like
Hmm.
no Catholic. I think they've been around it. They've won playoff games. They've won playoff games on the road.
Yep.
I think these are going to be really really good games in February. Like that whole when they get all that the high school T and they start doing those projections, like it could be really really special this year. And I think
Mhm.
on the girls side, I think it's going to be really really fun to watch.
And that's Catholic's been one game away, if I'm not mistaken, the last 2 years.
They, they,
Maybe.
they're they're right there. Like I
Yep.
said, I think their guard play this year is improved, and I think they're
Yes.
they're more experienced. So I do like them on this side of town. I really really do. I just think with the caliber players, I think Bobby is a really good coach, and he's going to have them ready for each one of those games. And like I said, last year I mean, if it wasn't for Kirsten going crazy at that Providence
Mhm.
game, they
Yep.
win the game, and they had lost to them a couple months earlier in Cherokee by 20 points.
Mhm. Mhm.
So they're right there. So I think those four are definitely my four favorites.
Yeah, Bobby does a great job over at
Yep.
Catholic. I like Mallard Creek as well. I think Mallard Creek's gonna shock some teams, but they still have some wins to get before they get to that point. Um
Yeah, Mallard Creek is as talented as any team we discussed.
mhm.
Like you said, if they figure it out, I think they're definitely they're someone to watch out for. They have elite scoring. They have they got size. They could play. I mean, that team's very good.
They got the left for sure.
Yep.
Last question, then I'm gonna get up out of here. One player that you enjoy watching that is not a player that you coach.
One player that I like watching that I don't coach, and I like just that's not on 101 or play for me. Um,
We could do not play for you.
okay, I will say it. I love watching Kaylee Carson play. Uh,
Mm,
Obviously the injury was unfortunate, and
mhm,
I like I said, you know I I've known that family for a while, and to see
mhm,
her come back and the way she's affected the game and how she's like developed her game over the last year and a half um, is incredible off that injury.
mhm,
I talk about like how being under control and playing within a system, and she is a IQ kid. She's super smart, but now she could pull up and hit a jump shot, and she could
mhm.
rise up. She could get the mismatch. I really like watching her play. She's unselfish, and just she's a very fun player to watch. That's definitely one kid that I love watching to play. I also love watching Grayson Goff on Catholic. She's
Mhm.
the epitome of a team player. Just an overall just an overall like a great teammate, but just she has it. She has what you want when you play at this level and you want to be on a team. That's the kid you want to play with.
I
She's
agree.
her range. She can shoot. She can rebound, and she plays with a toughness and a competitiveness that you want. Um, I think at the end of the day, those two kids I love watching. The 24 class is special, and just being around them has been great. But those two kids I love watching there, just play and watching them compete
Sure.
and doing all that stuff. So
Yeah, I think those are two really good players. Grayson's been really good. I mean, yeah, she's been really good. And Kaylee, like you said, I mean, I was talking about them earlier. I think they're still adjusting to playing with Kaylee because Jessica and Jaden haven't played with her. They never got a chance to play with her because last year she tore her ACL. So they're adjusting to playing with her. But once they're starting to figure it out, I think they going to be a really hard out for anybody. But Coach G is going to figure it out, and they're going to be a tough out.
Oh, one more too. I just watching her develop and grow.
Mhm.
The it from Concord, Justice Alexander. She's going to be incredible. I mean, just incredible. She's got a great IQ. She could shoot from the parking lot. I think
Mhm.
she's got a chance to be really really good. And obviously, I think everyone knows that. But like, she has a chance to put it together and be special in
Yeah.
this for sure.
And she's already showing that she's
Oh,
special
she's
for sure.
she's
I
exceptional.
think she's definitely I think she's a like this may be a like some people may consider this a reach, but I think she's a top 10 player regardless of class right now in our area.
Yeah, I mean, there's just things that she does that I mean, I don't know. As a eighth, ninth grader, whatever she is, she understands mismatches. She'll go post you up. She
Yep.
understands switch. If a guard, if she's got a post, she's gonna go by him. If it's a guard, she can rise up and shoot above him. And she's got that range, dude. And I think that is huge. And she's a great passer too. She knows
Yep.
how to kick a play.
I agree. Well, I appreciate you, Coach, coming by.
Yeah, man.
Uh, I'm
Ever.
sure I'll see you soon.
Yeah, come by this week, Kev. Like I said,
I'm
we
gonna make
got
sure I make it through there.
the New Year's Rumble at Carolina Courts. It is the first stop for the NISAA League. Um, really good talent. We have three top 50 teams in the country here this weekend. So Charlotte, if you like girls basketball and you want to support it, really high level. Our league is a little different. We got a
Yep.
shot clock. We have different timeout formats at the end of the games, advancing the ball, all kinds of cool stuff that they're going to get when they get to college. So
Love
just
that. What time you starting?
yeah, I think the first game is at 4 o'clock on Friday.
Okay.
So I think we play four on Friday, and then there's four like morning, afternoon games on Saturday, and then we play three on Sunday. So it's a total of 11 games. It's gonna be really, really good.
Sounds good, Coach. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, man.
Make
Thank
sure to
you.
stop by there, everyone. If you have a chance, especially Saturday, Sunday, if your team's not playing, stop by Carolina Courts. Which one, Indian Trail or
Yeah,
Concord?
yeah. It's gonna be an Indian Trail this week.
Okay, so stop by Carolina Courts, Indian Trail, see some good basketball. I guarantee you'll see some kids that'll be playing in college next year. So,
Certainly,
all
they're here. We'll get.
right, Coach. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, man. Bye bye.
Bye. He already moved. All right, I appreciate everyone stopping by. This is the first time we're doing this. We'll do it again soon, I promise. Get some different coaches on here. Somebody share this with Coach Ash. We try to get her on here. All right, Bar Hoops, we out.